Jon Jones doesn't want to give the new school fighters a chance now. He doesn't want to give Tom Aspinall a chance, right? And why does he not want to give him a chance? Let me tell you guys why. It's because Jon understands that Tom is a problem. Going on to the UFC. This is a topic which I've been talking about for a while now, the whole Jon Jones situation. You know, it's been pissing me the fuck off. And it's been pissing off a lot of MMA fans to the point where I'm sure a lot of big Jon Jones fans have gone from Jon Jones fans to Jon Jones haters now. Would I even call it haters? Like, I wouldn't consider myself a Jon Jones hater. He made me dislike him. I don't hate him, but I dislike him. And I don't put him as the same legend as I once did. And I can explain to you guys why, right? So when Jon Jones was young, in his prime, just like Tom Aspinall is now. In fact, he was even younger. He was around 23, 24 years old, rolling through a division of old men. And a lot of his old wins, which are a lot of his finishes, were guys who were a little bit past their prime or way past their prime. And Jon Jones was a young animal going, smashing everyone. Props to him, right? He took out the complete old generation of fighters. However, if they were arseholes and they were cowards, just like Jon Jones is now, he would never have had the opportunity to beat the old school fighters. Because now we have Tom Aspinall, who's a new school fighter, right? The best new school fighter. And he's run through the whole heavyweight division, knocking people out within a minute, submitting people like Volkov out quickly, literally taking out the whole division. The only loss that he's got was against Curtis Blades, which was an injury, which he avenged that loss, and he went and beat Curtis Blades in a first round fight, which was, I think it was first round. Either first or second round it was, but it was a quick finish, right? Now, yeah, do you know what? Who was that? Who said that comment? B-Line, big up to you. Yeah, I know who B-Line is. He's always on my IG as well. Big up to you, B-Line. I agree with you, bro. I've always said, people always ask me, who would have been the best football player in Footgolf? And you hit it on the nail, bro. It would have been David fucking Beckham. Because in Footgolf, a lot of times, you've got to curl it round. Like, you know, if the course is going to the left, and, you know, you got to avoid bunkers, you got to avoid big dips. You need that curl, you need that finesse, and he had a great touch on him. David Beckham would have been a great Footgolf player. However, would he have come into our sport and won tournaments from the get-go? I don't believe so. But I reckon if he had a year or two of playing consistently, yeah, he would have been a problem for sure. So going back to Jon Jones, like I said, Jon Jones doesn't want to give the new school fighters a chance now. He doesn't want to give Tom Aspinall a chance, right? And why does he not want to give him a chance? Let me tell you guys why. It's because Jon understands that Tom is a problem. And he understands that he's got a big legacy right now, which is an unbeatable legacy, which, in my opinion, he did lose. If anyone has watched the Jon Jones vs Dominic Reyes fight and you really think that Jon Jones won that fight, then you got to really analyze it again, or you don't understand mixed martial arts, because he definitely lost 3 rounds out of 5 rounds in that fight. However, Jon Jones on paper hasn't lost, right? And he's not willing to put it all on the line and fight the new school champion, Tom Aspinall. And he's the longest reigning heavyweight champion with only 2 fights. He only beat Cyril Gane, which had no experience on the ground. You know, Cyril Gane sucks at wrestling. I even watched a video of Cyril Gane the other day wrestling some big guy. He looks completely he looks completely in deep waters. He's not good on the ground, right? And then he beat Stipe, who hadn't fought in years, washed. Like, you know, Stipe once upon a time was the greatest heavyweight, but come on, man. Beating Stipe and beating Cyril Gane, and to turn around and just to hold the title for that long and hold up the division is unacceptable. And you know what? It kind of brings me back to the whole Francis Ngannou situation. Remember, guys, when Jon Jones was making out that Ngannou was asking for too much money and the fight wasn't going ahead because of Ngannou? Well. Now we look at the whole Tom Aspinall situation. To me, it looks like it was Jon Jones who was holding off. Let's be honest, Jon Jones doesn't want that Francis Ngannou fight. He doesn't want that Tom Aspinall fight. He wants an easy fight, which is not going to, you know, put his legacy at risk. And that's the truth. So, yeah, Jon Jones, for me, he's tarnished his legacy. Out of the octagon, he was already an arsehole. He beat up his wife. He had done a hit and run on a pregnant woman. He's been known to take drugs, failed a steroid test for PEDs. So yeah, Jon Jones is not exactly a good guy outside of the octagon. The only legacy he had was in the octagon, and for me, he's ruined it. He doesn't want to fight, holding up the division, making fun out of Tom Aspinall, making fun out of all the fans. And it's like, bro, we just want to see you fight. Do you get what I'm saying? And let's be honest, to put the cherry on the top, there is some sus things about Jon Jones, man. And, you know, to say he's part of the rainbow community wouldn't be a reach, if you want me to be honest. And you guys might be watching thinking, what the fuck is he talking about? Jon Jones ain't GAY. Well, bro, you can go watch the MMA Guru hit piece that he done on Jon Jones. And, you know, he goes to a comedy store with a bunch of sus sounding guys, and he says some sus shit. So, yeah, Jon Jones for me is not the legend he once was. And like the rest of the legends, like the GSPs, like the Khabibs, you know, like right now, the Topurias, the Islams, they fighting the greatest fighters. They're risking it for the biscuit. And Jon Jones does not want to do that. You know, I understand it. He's a coward, doesn't want to risk it. That's not what a champion does. But we got to strip him today. Today he has to be stripped, which from my understanding, he is dropping the title today. So, yeah, man, that's basically me wrapping up Jon Jones situation. What do you guys feel about the Jon Jones situation? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Do you think we should give him more time? Do you think he's just doing this to negotiate with the UFC? Because I have heard people saying that, but I don't believe that. It's been a long time now. You know, even like, what was it, like a month ago, he was saying he needed another 6-7 months to get ready. It's like, bro, what do you need all this time for? What are you waiting so long for? You're literally killing Tom Aspinall's career, which is unfair. Let him go fight, man. Let him go make his money. And it kind of, it is, and it's not like the Conor and Michael Chandler situation, because I understand Tom waiting. Within Chandler, I think Chandler's waiting was just hope. We already knew, I said it a long time ago, that Conor McGregor's never going to fight again. When you've got that much money and, you know, you just snap your leg, you got titanium in your shins, yeah, why would you fight? You're not going to go back to fighting. But the whole Tom Aspinall situation is different to that situation because, listen, Michael Chandler wanted to fight Conor. Let's be honest, we know why he wanted to fight Conor, because he wanted to get the bag, right? He wanted to earn millions while he was fighting. But I don't think Tom Aspinall is waiting for the Jon Jones fight just because of the finances. Sure, is he going to make more money? Yeah, he will. But it's the legacy. To be able to go to the heavyweight division, take out everyone, and then take out the Jon Jones legend, you know, and then go back to even beating a few of these new school guys, will literally put Tom Aspinall as the GOAT of the heavyweight division. And Jon Jones knows that, and that's why he's holding off. So we've wrapped up the Jones situation, and now we just spoke about the man, Conor McGregor. Another man for me who, he hasn't completely ruined his legacy. I still like Conor, I'll be honest with you, but he has tarnished his legacy a little bit. Why? He is slightly a degenerate, right? We know he takes drugs often, but now this move, for me, is just as bad as his nose being stuffed in yayo constantly. The whole, like, him buying OnlyFans, come on, man. Like, we already know that OnlyFans is one of the leading causes to the fall of society, and especially dating with modern people, men and women. Why men? Because men are weak and they'll rather not go through the hardship of becoming a great man. So, you know, they're easily led to stuff like porn and OnlyFans, which makes men weak. And then women, young women, are going to OnlyFans because for them it's an easy way out, right? They'll rather go and show off their body, get paid bucks for it, thinking that, you know, they'll do it for 2-3 years and then they'll have a successful relationship and a man waiting for them at the end, which they couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is, a great man will never wifey a girl who does OnlyFans. And any man who wifeys a girl who does it, you know, I would not advise it. Yeah, I would not advise it. And, you know, I could even say in my situation, have I thought about it before? I'd be a hypocrite to say I haven't. There was a girl that I was speaking to maybe like 3 years ago now, 4 years ago. She watches some of my streams. And I actually knew her from when I was with my ex-girlfriend. And, you know, I was talking to this girl for a while, never pursued her. Even though, like, I had times where with my ex that I was okay to do what I wanted, right? But I still never, because I just felt it wasn't right in that situation right there. And this girl was only selling feet pictures at the time, right? And I actually gave her the option. I said to her, look, you're heading for disaster. Like, in a year or two, you're going to be showing everything. You're going to near enough be making porn. This is what I expect from a woman. Obviously, you've already done sex work. You've showed your feet, which honestly, all she showed was her feet, which, you know, is an L regardless. Any woman that does any type of sexual job, and I even go back to even talking about bartending, bottle girls, even models, you know, even in the entertainment business, I don't think it's good. But yeah, I gave her that choice, and her thing was she wanted me to date her, but she would not accept me having multiple women, which in that time in my life, I was very, very set on that. And I said to her, well, forget about it. Like, you know, you sell feet pictures and you're not down for me to have multiple women. Like, I kind of explained to her the whole biology between men and women. And guess what, guys? Exactly what I said happened. So she went on to, you know, making more dirty content, and, you know, now she's like in her early 30s. This was way more longer than I'm saying. This was maybe 5-6 years ago. So yeah, like now she's in her early 30s, and, you know, she's decided she doesn't want to do sex work no more. And now she's started like a balloon business up, which, you know, if she's watching, she definitely knows is her now. And it's like, yeah, bro, that's way too late. Like, that's an L. Like, no man's going to think like, oh yeah, that was your past, so that's okay now. Nah, bro, like, once you're showing your pussy, your body on these platforms, it's going to be very hard for a serious man to take you seriously. And she had that choice. If she had gone into the balloon business at the beginning, before she even done OnlyFans, then, you know, she would have had a chance. But anyway, that's my take on that. So yeah, going back to Conor McGregor doing OnlyFans, I think it's an L on his behalf. Also, do you really think... I don't think it's a good business idea anyway. I think OnlyFans is only going to go down from here. Does OnlyFans make a lot of money? Sure, it does make a lot of money. It preys on weak men and weak women, if you want me to be honest with you. So, but my understanding is if Conor gets involved in OnlyFans, it won't be just him. I've done my research. Conor's worth 200-300 million at most, right? The whole deal is £6 billion, which is $8 billion. It's going to be a crazy deal, right? So he's going to be a small investor. And let's be honest, if he buys it, you're not going to give up majority of your net worth to buy a business. So how much money is he really going to put into it? Let's be honest, majority of it is going to come from other investors around Conor McGregor. But yeah, that's the talks right now, that Conor McGregor is trying to buy OnlyFans. And that's why I honestly respect the Russian fighters more than I respect Conor. I respect Khabib, Islam Makhachev, that whole Dagestani camp a lot more than Conor McGregor, even though I am a Conor fan. And you guys asking why? Because the Russian fighters don't get involved in this degeneracy. In fact, when Khabib had his own promotion and his own fighting company, if you guys remember, he didn't even have ring girls. And if you want me to be honest with you, if I had my own promotions, if I owned the UFC, I wouldn't have ring girls either. Right? They're pretty to look at, but are they really needed there? Not really. Are they really doing much of a job? No, you could really have like round one coming up, you know, on the screen, and people know it's round one. You don't need a half-naked girl walking around. And, you know, I might sound like a hypocrite to a lot of people, because in my early years of me growing up, I was a degenerate. I did fuck a lot of women. I did fuck with a lot of sluts. I fucked porn stars, both in the UK and here. But guys, I'm telling you after all this experience that it's not really the way to go, you know? Did I get any benefits from being a promiscuous man and living a degenerate life? Sure. I probably got a little bit more streetwise, and I learned female nature a little better. But is it really worth it? I don't think it's worth it. And it's a lot of waste of time and energy. So, yeah, that's why, like the Dagestani guys, you know, and I'm sure even in Dagestan, if they really wanted to, they could have multiple wives. With me, I would rather live that way of life with I would rather have multiple wives, good women who I'm only having a family with, rather than having one woman and her being like saying to me, yeah, you can go fuck sluts on the side whenever you want. I'm past that now. And it honestly it's like a vicious circle. It doesn't lead to nothing great in the end. So yeah, that's me wrapping up the Conor McGregor OnlyFans situation. What's your take on it? Do you really think he's going to buy it? Do you think it's a load of cap just to get his name in the headlines again? And do you think it's even a good business investment? £6 billion. Do you really see it going up from here? I think OnlyFans is only going to go down from here, because I think not everywhere, but a lot of Western countries, especially here in America now, we've brought shaming back, which is great. I think the freedom of speech should be able to say anything and everything is great. And shaming, you know, back in the day, if you lived in the village and you was a promiscuous girl, you'd be known as that promiscuous girl and you'd get shamed for it and everyone would know and you wouldn't have no guys interested in you. Nowadays, it's like we don't shame women for it. In fact, we just say, yeah, it's freedom of, it's feminine freedom, all this bullshit. And it's the same with guys, right? You know, guys are more, back in the day, you knew that if you wasn't a leader and you didn't work on your craft, you weren't able to really get through life. But nowadays, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of porn out there, easy. People ready to play video games. People can realistically stay inside their house, eat crap food, have a minimum wage job and live life on, you know, a shit life, but they'll still live life comfortably. And they'll rather not come out of that comfortability where, you know, going through the grit, the pain, the early mornings, late nights, hard work. They'll rather not go through that and just live on autopilot, which is bad. So next up, I don't know if you guys saw the whole Nate Diaz fight. Nate Diaz was having a fight with the Russians on the Russian Ultimate Fighter, which is kind of wild. Nothing like the Ultimate Fighter here, which is starting with DC and Shao Sonnen, which I'm excited for. It's actually starting today, you said, Fades? Yeah, today. So guys, I'm definitely going to watch that a little later. What time is it starting? Probably like 5, 6 o'clock? So definitely going to watch that. I love watching the young prospects. And this time we ain't got fighters. We've got Shao Sonnen and DCX fighters, but we ain't got two fighters who are going to fight each other. Two guys who actually like each other. But I do think there's going to be some good banter between that. And yeah, going back, the Russian Ultimate Fighter is wild. We've got Hasbulla involved. We've got Jon Jones. We've got brawls, fucking Royal Rumbles going off. And now Nate Diaz has had enough and he said, nah, bro, like the Russian Ultimate Fighter is too wild. There's no respect in the house. So Nate Diaz is out. And who did they bring in? A great replacement. They brought in Jorge Masvidal, who a lot of people say I look like, especially when I'm in fucking Florida. My Cuban brother. But yeah, so Masvidal is in the Russian Ultimate Fighter now. I don't know how I'm able to watch it, but I'm going to go on YouTube and try and check it out because it does look lively. And it does look crazy. So, yeah, that's the Ultimate Fighter. Watching the American one, which starts today. For everyone in Europe, I know it's going to be a little late for you guys. All my Americans, I'd say let's tune in and see what young talent's going to come through the UFC next. So, next up, is Islam Makhachev obligated to fight Topuria? Ilia Topuria? No. The answer is no. And I know some of you guys are sitting there thinking, well, hold on a sec. You just shit on Jon Jones for not wanting to fight Tom Aspinall. It's not the fucking same situation, guys. Islam Makhachev's situation is not the same situation. Islam Makhachev has gone through majority of the lightweight division, right? I can even name you names. Volkanovski twice, Charles Oliveira, Dan Hooker, Bobby Green, Thiago Moises, Dustin Poirier, Renato Moicano, Arman Tsarukyan, and Drew Dober. A list of killers, if you want me to be honest with you, that Islam has literally run through, right? So, for people turning around and saying that Islam has to fight Topuria or he's a coward, you know, Shao Sonnen said he didn't say exactly those words, but he kind of said those words. Shao Sonnen, you're fucking, you know, you got low IQ if you think that, bro. Like, fucking, Islam has run through the whole lightweight division, and I think it's only right he gets that shot against JDM. Don't get me wrong, I felt a little bit fuckery on Bilal because it's like, you know, it's like Islam was waiting for his boy to get taken out so he can get that opportunity, which, you know, loyalty-wise, I didn't really like that from Islam. However, Islam deserves the shot at the welterweight division to go become a double champion. Why not, man? He's got a long winning streak. He fights often. He's never turned down a fight. Even they gave him a featherweight twice. They gave him Volkanovski twice, who was a featherweight. Now Topuria is the third featherweight they want to give him. It's only right he can go fight in the welterweight division against JDM. That should be the next fight. And if he wins and he wants to drop back down, then he can drop back down and fight Topuria. Topuria should go get a fight before that. I do think he should fight someone like Arman Tsarukyan would be a great fight. That's the fight I want to see. I want to see Topuria against Arman Tsarukyan. But they are talking about Topuria fighting Charles Oliveira right now, which is another fight I don't mind watching. However, I do think Topuria knocks him out early. You know, we've seen Charles Oliveira get knocked down before, but Topuria does possess that power that puts a man out. And I do think that if he catches Charles on the chin, I think it's over for Charles early. So that's my take on the whole situation between Islam and Topuria. I do want to watch Islam vs Topuria. Do not get me wrong. I do want to watch that fight. But it's only right we give that opportunity to Islam first. Islam's been patient. He's run through the whole division with great wins across. The only guy that he hasn't fought really has been Gaethje, right? And Paddy Pimblett. And, you know, you can say Arman Tsarukyan, he should have rematched him again. But apart from those guys, he kind of run through the whole division. So, yeah, that's my take on that situation. And, you know, Topuria has run through, you know, a good amount of featherweights as well. But if you compare the list of what I gave you for Islam Makhachev and then you compare it to Topuria's list, which is like Bryce Mitchell, Jay Herbert, Josh Emmett, Max Holloway and Volkanovski, yeah, that's a great list of fighters. You know, you even beat two legends within Max Holloway and Volkanovski, but that doesn't compare to Islam's run. No way. So, yeah, I think Topuria should sit back, fight another lightweight first, show us that he's ready for that division, even though I know he is, and then go fight Islam on his next fight and let Islam fight for the welterweight division. All right, cool. Next up in the UFC, we have Merab. Merab, for me, is one of the highest IQ fighters in the octagon, but the lowest IQ fighters out of the octagon. Well, you guys are probably thinking, well, what do you mean by that, bro? What, he's smart dumb? Yeah, bro, he's smart dumb. In the octagon, he's smart. He knows how to get the win. He knows how to mix up the striking with the wrestling. Great pressure. He makes great decisions in the octagon. Out of the octagon, fucking hell, Merab. Like, you are literally going to give Dana White a heart attack. Or you're going to literally... It's going to be the first time that Dana White strips a champion for things that he's doing outside of the octagon, which it hasn't happened before, has it? Not with a champion, from my understanding. So, yeah, Merab is pissing off Dana at the moment. He's got a fight coming up. Like last time, he posted up his cut. If you guys remember, his cut underneath his eye. Well, this time, he's posting up his broken toe. You know, he's thrown high kicks in training. Must be, you know, a hard high kick to be able to break your toe like that. He's climbing mountains, nearly falling off cliffs, doing all sorts of dangerous shit, right? But it's Merab. It's Merab. If, you know, if he's not doing that, it's not Merab. So... yeah, Merab's doing some crazy shit and he's only, what is it, two weeks out from fighting now? Not this Saturday, but the Saturday after, I'm thinking. Is it the Saturday after? It's not this one. Yeah, it's the week after. This week, we're going to, we've got the Macy Barber vs Erin Blanchfield fight, which I'm going to break down at the end. But yeah, in 2 weeks, Merab fights Sugar O'Malley. And I do want Sugar to win that fight. I think Sugar is a more entertaining fighter, both in and out of the octagon. I do like Sugar. You know, I've given Sugar joints before. I met him at the UFC event in Arizona where I was sitting next to Adesanya's family, which he was fighting Marvin Vettori that night. And that was the night where Figueiredo lost his title to Brandon Moreno. That was a great night, honestly. One of the best UFCs I've been to. Even though I've been to a lot of great UFCs, that one was very special. And one of the reasons it was because I had the intimate feeling of feeling the whole fight with Adesanya's family. That was epic, bro. Like, I literally felt like I was one of his family. It was crazy. And just behind me was Moreno's family. So I think to be amongst all the emotions and all of that, it does intensify the UFC event. And yeah, we've got a great one coming up in 2 weeks. It's, you know, the card could have been a little better, but I'm looking forward to the Merab Sugar fight. I think that Merab is the favourite. I think that if he mixes it up, it's going to be hard for Sugar again. But I'm hoping after the surgery that Sugar O'Malley's had, him working on his takedown defense, he's able to keep Merab standing and sniper him up, man. Find those 2-3 shots that's going to knock him out or put him to the ground and get that finish. Because for me, that's the only way he's going to win. Sugar has to take out Merab standing. So yeah, that's my take on that fight. And Merab as a whole. And next up we have, is Joe Rogan losing his marbles? Well, you know, Joe Rogan, I'm not going to lie, he's definitely one of my, would I say mentors? I wouldn't say mentors. I would say Joe Rogan's one of my inspirations. When I started off podcasting, I would see myself as a young Joe Rogan. I think we both like similar things. Obviously, he's a way better talker than me. He's done stand-up comedy. He's way bigger than me. Obviously, I'm not trying to say I'm anywhere near the same levels as Joe Rogan. I'm just trying to say he was like a mentor in my mind, an inspiration of how I wanted my podcast to be, where I'd bring on people who were not necessarily big or famous, but I could have interesting conversation with those guys. And that's how the podcast is going to be going forward. You know, we have got people coming on the podcast who do have a big platform, clout, who are famous, but we also have people with tons of value who you've never heard of. And I love the way Joe Rogan does his podcast. I like what he stands for. I do think in the past, before it was cool to be a conservative, he was a bit of a centrist, right? He wouldn't want to go left, he wouldn't want to go right because he wouldn't want to offend any of his fans and, you know, make his fan base smaller, let's say. But as of lately, I would say he's definitely gone more towards the right, more conservative. Obviously, he's a big supporter of Trump, which so have I been for since 2016. Does it mean that I agree with Trump on everything? No, I don't agree with Trump with everything. There's loads of things I've spoken about against Trump, but in general, I think he's the best man for the job. And yes, I understand they're all part of the matrix. You know, they all deep down work for, you know, that country in the Middle East, begins with I, not Iran. But yeah, you got to pick the lesser evil. You got to pick the best man for the job. And Joe Rogan, like I said, like a lot of his takes, I think we're quite similar in characters. But he did say something recently, which I'm like, bro, like, what the fuck are you smoking on, Joe, sorry. Joe is smoking on that Nature Boys pack. I'm telling you, he's smoking that good shit. He's smoking that OG, because recently he come out and said that he would like to see the UFC heavyweights going back to using PEDs. Yes, guys, you heard right. He wants the heavyweights to go back to being like, you know, like Alistair Overeem, looking like absolute hulks and stuff. And I don't want to see that. I don't think that we should ever be pushing using steroids in any sport. I think we should be natural. I think there should be no advantages. And I know Joe Rogan turns around and says, no, we should allow it and then, you know, make an even playing field where everyone's allowed to use it. Joe, not everyone wants to use PEDs. PEDs and all these things come with long-term side effects, which are not great for you, right? So I think it's a very selfish take that Joe Rogan has on, he wants to see heavyweights using PEDs. And, you know, he wants to just see that for his entertainment. I don't want to see that. I love the way that the heavyweight division has become now. What do I mean by that? Well, all the fatties, like, you know, the Derek Lewises, the Tai Tuivasas, they don't have potential to be champions no more. Nowadays, you're seeing guys who are a lot more ripped and who have a lot less body fat become heavyweight champions, like Tom Aspinall. Even Curtis Blades, you know, he's a bit big, but I would say he has a good physique for a heavyweight. Cyril Gane, sure, he sucks in the wrestling, but again, he has a good physique for a heavyweight. Even Jon Jones, he was a little bit chubby as a heavyweight, but still a decent physique as a heavyweight. Those are the kind of heavyweight champions I want to see. And this is another thing, Joe. All these guys who have tons of muscle and who look crazy, yeah, they're going to be good for the first round or two. And I know that's what you want to see. You want to see someone get killed in the first round. But in the long run, they're not going to be great fighters. Within third, fourth, fifth round, they're going to blow up, no more oxygen going to the muscles, and the fight's going to become lame. And, even we see that even with Francis Ngannou, right? Francis Ngannou, for someone who was so muscly, he had a good gas tank for someone who was so muscly, but even his muscles held him back. Even if you saw in boxing, I think the longer that rounds went with Francis Ngannou, he'd become weaker. And that is simply because of the amount of muscle that he has on his body. So, yeah, I don't want to see that, Joe Rogan. I disagree with you. I don't want to see heavyweights using PEDs. I don't want to see any athletes using PEDs. The only athletes that should be using PEDs are weightlifters who are in that division, in the steroid division. That's it. And bodybuilders. So yeah, that's my take for the whole Joe Rogan situation. And we're going to wrap up the UFC card for this weekend. And then we're going to come off the UFC. And we're going to talk about the Diddy case quickly. And we're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk vs. the Cambridge student debate, which was very interesting. And, I'm a big fan of Charlie Kirk. But for me, I believe he lost this debate. So this weekend, we do have Erin Blanchfield, who the only loss she's had in recent times was against Manon Fiorot. And that was a close fight decision from what I remember. So Erin Blanchfield, for me, is definitely one of the up-and-coming great women fighters in her division. And the same goes with Macy Barber, who is her opponent this weekend. You couldn't have two better match contenders, basically. So, let me go through it. So, I think Macy Barber is 1 year older than Blanchfield. I think Erin Blanchfield has got 1 inch higher, a bigger reach. I think Macy Barber's got a 1 inch advantage in height. I think Macy Barber's only won one fight more than Erin Blanchfield, and they've got the same losses. In other words, these guys are very, very, very well matched. These girls are literally the two girls on the up and rise in that division, and two girls for me that were contenders to be future champions in that division. Macy Barber, her last loss was in 2021 against Alexa Grasso, who, as we saw, was a champion as well. And yeah, guys, I'm looking forward to that fight. And, we do, a lot of the times we shit on women's MMA. We shit on women in general, let's just be honest, especially here at The Natural Effect. But, I do it when I say the truth. But let me be honest with you guys. I love watching women's MMA. And I know I might get shit for this, but I think women's sports in general sucks. But women's MMA is actually great. I love watching Valentina Shevchenko fight. I love watching Nunes fight. There's a lot of up-and-coming girls who are great fighters. I think MMA is one of those sports where women are closer to men than any other sport. For example, if you go watch women's basketball, come on, bro, I've watched that shit. It's fucking trash. You go watch women's soccer, bro, it's fucking it's like watching, it's like watching retarded people play, if you want me to be honest with you, yeah? But then when you watch women's MMA, there's a lot of technique. The women are really putting their life on the line every fight. Women's MMA for me is still elite. And I know you have people like the MMA Guru and other MMA influencers making fun of it, but I think it's just to make fun of, just to have a laugh. Deep down, I think we all do enjoy women's MMA. Would I rather see a man's fight? Probably, yeah, but I think this fight, I'm definitely looking forward to it, even more than the man's fight on that card. And the man's fight is going to be a great fight as well. We have got Gamrot going against Ludovic Klein. So, again, Gamrot has only lost to two killers. He lost against Dan Hooker and he lost against Beneil Dariush in recent times, since he's been at the UFC. So, apart from that, You know, he's got a good win streak, which he beat a lot of great fighters. And Ludovic Klein hasn't lost in 4 years now. Last time he lost was against Nate Landwehr, which I love watching Nate fight as well. But yeah, that was his last loss in 2021. So I'm definitely looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think those two guys are very well matched as well. So yeah, those two fights. If you want me to be honest with you, I'm going to go with Gamrot. I think he's just got a little bit more experience. He's a little bit older. He's fought the better competitors. And for the Erin Blanchfield and the Macy Barber fight, do you know what? I'm just going to go with Macy Barber. I don't know. I really like both of those girls, but I'm just going to have to go just with Macy. But that one could go either way. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch more clips like that, click here. Or if you want to watch the full stream, click here.